Hi everyone! In this video, we will subtract rational expressions with a common denominator. Simplify by subtracting these two rational expressions. The first thing we want to do is note that it has a common denominator. When a fraction has a common denominator, we can go ahead and subtract the numerator of the second from the numerator of the first. And in this case, because we're subtracting multiple terms, we'll need to put some parentheses around the numerator so that when we subtract every single term using the distributive property here, making this 10b squared plus 2b minus 2. And now when we subtract, we'll get minus 9b squared minus b minus 40. And because they have a common denominator, we can simply combine them with that same denominator, b squared minus 49. Now let's go ahead and combine like terms in the numerator. We have a b squared and a b squared, and then we have a b and a b, and then our last one we have no variable and no variable. So we can combine those, giving us 10b squared minus 9b squared gives us 1b squared, or we can just put b squared where the 1 would just be implied. Then we're going to combine the 2b's and the minus b. That gives us 2 minus 1 is 1. So we have 1 remaining left, and 1b can be just written as just b, again with the implied 1 in front. And the last we have minus 2 and minus 40, which gives us minus 42. And this is all still over the same common denominator of b minus 49. Now that we've subtracted everything, we can go ahead and try to simplify. To do that, we'll need to factor the numerator and factor the denominator. The numerator, we have b squared plus b minus 42, and because we have the implied 1 in front of the b, we just need to look for the factors of 42. 42 has factors of 1 and 42, and 2 and 21, 3 and 14, and 6 and 7. And we need a combination that will give us the middle term, which is a 1. And we'll look at the signs. We have a subtraction here, which means that the signs will be different. 1 will be positive and 1 will be negative. And we look at the sign of the middle one, which is positive. That tells us the sign of the larger will be positive. So we'll go along the larger of the factors, making them positive, and the smaller ones negative, and the combination to give us a plus 1 is here, negative 6 plus 7. We'll replace that b, giving us b squared minus 6b plus 7b minus 42, and then we'll factor this by grouping. The first two have in common a b, so we're left with b minus 6, and the next two, the greatest common factor is a 7, so we'll take out a 7, leaving us with b minus 6. Now that we've factored out the greatest common factor there, we'll factor out the greatest common factor again, which is the binomial b minus 6, leaving us with b plus 7. Now let's go ahead and factor the denominator. The denominator is a square minus a square. This means that it follows the pattern of b squared minus 49. It follows the pattern of the square root of the first and the square root of the second. The square root of b squared is b, and the square root of the second is 7, and then 1 is positive and 1 is negative. So this, we've run out of room right here, can be rewritten as b minus 6 times b plus 7 from the numerator being factored, and that's divided by the binomials from the denominator being factored, b plus 7 and b minus 7. Now we look for anything in common that we can simplify or divide out, and b plus 7 is in common with both the numerator and the denominator, so it cancels out, and we're left with b minus 6 over b minus 7. And now we're all done.